Welcome back to the program. So we've been talking about Letitia James now for a while. We know that she's been indicted on 2 charges. And again, that's only on one property. There are still 6 other properties, believe it or not. So again, as I said, I believe there's going to be superseding indictments in the near future. Now, apparently there's a Biden judge, a real radical extreme judge, that is basically trying to say that, what's her name, Lindsay Hannigan was not appointed appropriately, so therefore they should throw out the whole case, right? Doesn't matter that you have a 43-year history of mortgage fraud. The person wasn't appointed right, so of course you can't be prosecuted. Not going to fly, okay? Not going to fly. Now, they're going to try. They're going to try, and there's going to be appeals and all that. They're going to try, but I don't think in the end that's going to be the case. She is in deep doo-doo, okay? Now, what happened just today is just unreal. Joel Gilbert is someone that I've actually interviewed twice on the show. I don't know if you remember him or not. When I interviewed him, he was talking about how Michelle Obama was going to be running for president, and he wrote a book and some other stuff. But he's been at the forefront of investigating Letitia James. And he had an interesting thing that happened either today or yesterday. So let me get into this. Hello, this is Letitia James. Your number showed up on my caller ID. Who is this? The voice was unmistakable. I knew it was her. I had just finished calling about 20 phone numbers of New York Attorney General Letitia James's 7 siblings, hoping to learn more about her niece, Shamice Thompson Hairston, with whom James had jointly purchased a home in Norfolk, Virginia. I wanted to know which of Letitia's 7 siblings was Shanice's parents. Half of the numbers that I called were bad numbers. The rest went directly to voicemail. I hadn't left any messages, yet suddenly here was Letitia James herself calling me back on the line. I decided to play it straight. Yes, Miss James, I'm a reporter working on an article about your family background. Could you tell me, please, who is the father or the mother of your niece, Shamice? James hesitated. What is this for? She asked. Again, it's about an article about your family background, I repeated. Her answer was abrupt. No comment. Click. She hung up the phone. Why is this important? Well, checking my caller ID, I saw the number was a 212-416-8051 phone number. Upon a quick Google search, it turned out to be one of the main lines at the New York State Attorney General's office. My interest in Shamice Thompson stems from Letitia James's unusually large financial involvement in the lives of her niece and her 2 children. James had purchased 2 homes in Norfolk, Virginia for them, both with problematic legal issues as regards to the mortgages. In 2020, James purchased a property at 3121 Perone Avenue in Norfolk, signing a document claiming that it would serve as her primary or secondary residence, rather than a rental property, which allowed her to, of course, obtain a lower interest rate on her mortgage. That misrepresentation recently became part of one of those criminal indictments against James for mortgage and bank fraud, carrying a potential 30-year prison sentence. James was arraigned just yesterday in Norfolk in that case. In 2023, James bought a home at 604 Sterling Avenue, also in Norfolk. That's why I'm saying there's a lot of properties here, folks. With Shanice Thompson as the co-borrower. Per Sam Antar, Letitia qualified for the loan only after certifying in an updated application that it would be, quote, her primary residence, even though she lived in Brooklyn. I believe this could soon be the subject of a superseding indictment against Letitia James. Then it says this. Speaking before the Association for a Better New York, James claimed her motives for the home purchases were purely familial. They were in order to provide a home for her niece Shamice's kids. But, as detailed in all of these different reports, crime does run in this family. Letitia James buys the home for her niece, which are jailbirds and wanted by the police as well. James's explanations says that she was, quote, a good aunt, merely trying to help her niece and her children. Well, we all know that that is absolute bullshit. The children, whom James's statement is implied to, were minors. They were also both felons with long rap sheets, including Nakia Monique Thompson, who today is a wanted fugitive with an active arrest warrant in North Carolina. In fact, Thompson has a criminal record spanning over 20 years in the state of Virginia and North Carolina, respectively, and including multiple convictions for contributing to delinquency of a minor, abuse of a child, possession of burglary tools, third-degree larceny, assault and battery, trespassing, shoplifting, resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, possession of marijuana, driving with a suspended license, and even malicious conduct while incarcerated. Now, in a striking turn of events, Thompson has again found herself before a judge in Norfolk, the same exact city where Letitia James and her mortgage fraud case is being heard. According to the New York Post, Thompson was arraigned after allegedly threatening an elementary school assistant principal, shouting, quote, I'm going to punch you in the effing face, you bald-headed bitch. A protective order has since been issued prohibiting her from contacting the victim or engaging in further acts of violence. What makes the timing remarkable is that Thompson's courtroom appearance coincided almost exactly at the same time Letitia James's own federal arraignment in the Eastern District of Virginia was taking place. So I guess crime does run in the James family. Prosecutors allege that James falsified mortgage documents related to the same property where Thompson was living, potentially making her and her felon grandniece a central witness in Letitia James's mortgage and bank fraud case. So what that means is that they could essentially call Thompson, the niece, the one that's on the run from the law, as a witness, force her to testify as a witness under oath, so she can't lie, and say, do you own this house, and are you a renter, and where does your aunt live? And she can't say she lives here, because now she's going to be committing a felony. So the digging that has been done by Joel Gilbert has really gotten this to a point where we're trying to box her in. Now remember, this is just on one property. There are still 5 other properties. 3 in New York, 1 in Georgia, and I think 2 more in Virginia. So that's why I keep saying, look out, it's probably coming. For a public official who built her brand as a champion of accountability, integrity, and of course, no one is above the law, the convergence of legal crisis strikes at the heart of Letitia James's credibility, obviously. The image of a New York top law enforcement officer appearing in the court system while her grandniece faces charges and must testify against her in a potential jury trial is not just personal irony, it's political gravitas when you think about it, because I can't think of another example of something like this happening. For Thompson, the consequences could also be very severe. With her long criminal history and active probation violations, her latest outburst may result in more enhanced penalties and possible extradition back to North Carolina, where, remember, she is wanted by North Carolina authorities. There are multiple warrants out for her arrest, where she is, again, under order of arrest for absconding. For Letitia James, meanwhile, the optics are absolutely devastating. The woman who ran on weaponizing the legal system against Donald Trump now stands accused of the very fraud that she spent years trying to prosecute on him. It's amazing. You can't even write a script like this. Hollywood would make an Academy Award-winning movie if you could come up with something and a timeline and a written script that would be something like this. I mean, it's that crazy. And remember, this is just one of her properties. Also, real quick, the Illinois state representative that decided on her own to go out there and dox these ICE agents, their names, their phone numbers, their addresses, their cars, make, year, models, license plates, everything. Well, guess what? She's now being criminally referred to the Department of Justice, and trust me, they're going to put her, in jail as well. So that broke yesterday, and that's already been an updated story. The other thing, real quick, is this. John Brennan could be next. He is very, very nervous. He's been on MSLSD talking about how he's innocent, this and that. Chris Wray is next because he could be next because Trump is now demanding prosecution of Merrick Garland, Christopher Wray, Jack Smith, and other deep state lowlifes like Lisa Monaco and Jake Sullivan and many others. So I think what's happening here is the rats are trying to scurry away from the rat's nest. And I don't know. It's not looking good. So it looks like there's a lot more activity that should be happening soon. When? I don't know. But it could be in the next couple of weeks. You may hear, breaking news, indictment on Christopher Wray. Breaking news, indictment on such and such. This Operation Arctic Frost, where they went and they spied on 9 senators, that was not smart. That was not smart. These senators are really, really pissed off. And they are pushing the Department of Justice, especially Marsha Blackburn. She's the one that referred Christopher Wray already for criminal prosecution, and a few of the others. And, of course, Chuck Grassley, who is the head of the Senate Intel Committee. He's been there 60 years, okay? That guy is literally like 500 years old. And he's gone through all of this. And so I'm telling you, Lisa Monaco, Merrick Garland, Christopher Wray, Jack Smith, John Brennan, and so many others. I think the dominoes, hopefully very soon, are going to start to fall. Just keep praying that it happens sooner rather than later. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.